Joseph Bray, Persistent Guilt, Remorse, and the Weight of Unhealed Choices. The Testimony of the Spirit, Joseph Bray, presented in the second part of Heaven and Hell, directly reveals how the conscience can remain trapped in unprocessed remorse when there is a lack of sincere repentance and a real willingness to make amends. His account shows that spiritual suffering arises from the conscience itself when it recognizes the error, but has not yet found the strength to transform it into learning. Joseph Bray manifests in a state of intense moral pain. He retains lucidity, memory, and identity, but remains fixated on the wrongs committed in life. Unlike spirits who recognize their errors and begin a movement of inner change, Joseph Bray demonstrates difficulty in breaking free from the mental circle of remorse. This state reveals that recognizing the error is only the first step. It is necessary to convert that recognition into transformation. Modern depth psychology helps to understand this mechanism. When guilt remains stagnant, without elaboration, and without reparative action, it transforms into chronic suffering. The individual mentally relives the mistake, but does not advance towards inner reconstruction. In the spiritual realm, where there are no material distractions, this cycle intensifies, keeping consciousness trapped in the past. Spiritism clarifies that Joseph Bray's suffering is not an imposed punishment, but a natural consequence of mental fixation. The consciousness, by not accepting learning as a possibility, sustains its own state of pain. True repentance requires more than just remorse. It demands an inner decision to change and repair, even if this path requires time and effort. Modern science reinforces this logic by showing that processes of psychological healing require conscious action. Recognizing the damage done is essential, but remaining only in lamentation prevents the reorganization of personality. Overcoming occurs when there is active responsibility, not when there is emotional paralysis. Another striking point in Joseph Bray's testimony is the resistance to hope. Although he intellectually understands that evolution is possible, he still cannot feel this possibility as real. This distance between intellectual understanding and emotional experience keeps consciousness in suffering. Spiritual progress requires the integration of these two levels. Spiritism shows that no spirit is condemned to that state. Suffering persists only while the consciousness does not take the decisive step towards change. As Joseph Bray accepts the need for repair and opens himself to spiritual assistance, his inner state will begin to change. Pain is not destiny. It is a stage. This testimony invites us to a deep and practical reflection. Mistakes are part of the human experience, but postponing the conscious confrontation of one's own flaws increases future suffering. What is not processed in life tends to be faced with greater intensity later, when the consciousness is more lucid. Joseph Bray teaches us that true forgiveness begins within oneself, when the consciousness accepts learning from the mistake and decides to move forward. Spiritual life does not require immediate perfection, but it does require honesty, inner courage, and a willingness to change. Reflecting on this account is an invitation to not postpone your own growth. Recognizing failures, seeking possible reparation, and developing moral responsibility now is an act of self-care. The conscience is grateful when learning occurs in the present moment. If this testimony helped you reflect on guilt, regret, and inner transformation, like, share, and leave your comment. Your participation helps this message reach more people.